Yes, there is life after anxiety, after panic attacks, after agoraphobia, after symptoms, and after this all-consuming condition, and I'm proof. Hello, my name is Dr. Ronnie Friedman, and I have recovered from this condition, and you have the ability to accomplish this too. It's not difficult once you understand that anxiety is not an illness. It's merely a learned behavior, a habit one is able to unlearn. Anxiety, in essence, signals an overload of stress in your life, a sign to slow down and take care of yourself. You'll realize how much control you actually possess once you understand the fact that each symptom has a logical explanation and is easily reversed. I was plagued with symptoms, anxiety, agoraphobia, panic attacks, and pretty much all the problems that surround the anxiety condition. I too thought I must be terribly sick, in need of a strong medication, or I'd have to learn to live with this condition for the rest of my life. When I finally realized my own capabilities and power to permanently eliminate anxiety reactions from my life, a whole new world opened up for me. You have this power as well, and I'd like to explain how to tap into it as I share my story with you. I did experience all the symptoms and pain of this condition, and although devastated initially, was able to regain control of my life and permanently leave anxiety symptoms behind. The methods I used are purely natural and simple to use. Unlike medications, these skills don't carry side effects or withdrawal. All the tools you need are from within. Everything you need for emotional fitness you already possess. Learning how to tap into your inner strength will be an enjoyable and rewarding journey. These methods work for me and thousands of others, and they'll work for you too. The anxiety condition has a distinct set of predictable characteristics. It follows a set pattern determined by the nervous system. This translates into specific symptoms which anyone who has ever experienced anxiety shares with everyone else. The path for interrupting symptoms and reversing them is biologically the same for everyone as well. Yes, the same set of rules works to eradicate anxiety for everyone, and I'm going to teach you how to comfortably and permanently eradicate anxiety from your life. Sure, we'll always face stress in our lives as long as we're human, but this stress does not have to cross the line into intrusive anxiety reactions. Once you use our coping methods, you'll realize how much power you actually possess. It's basically a combination of understanding, coping skills, diet, nutrition, and a wellness regimen, training your body for emotional fitness. These methods work, and they continue to work. You'll begin to feel like your old self again, minus the struggle. Actually, most state they feel better than they did before anxiety struck. I know how difficult it might seem at this time, but this is only because you've been going up the wrong path. You've been thinking and doing it incorrectly up until now. This will be a new beginning. Trust me, it's not that difficult, and you'll enjoy the wonderful feeling, the powerful feeling you'll experience when you gain full control of your life again. This is just the beginning. I did overcome this condition and anxiety symptoms and surfaced a much stronger and happier person. My self-esteem and self-confidence grew, and I learned to excavate my authentic self, the stronger person who always existed but was fearful of life. Once I realized how much control I possessed, I knew I had something better than medication. I had me. I realized I could rely on myself to feel any way I chose, no matter where I was or what I was doing. Who could ask for anything more? I lost the fearful child whose voice ruled my world and tapped into my stronger adult voice. I recreated myself and became a self-assured adult in full charge of all aspects of my life. The person who existed before anxiety and panic, but stronger. I became someone who smiled more, not out of the need to please anyone and everything, but because I found true happiness. I began to truly live my life, enjoy myself, say what I meant, travel, work, drive comfortably, and handle all situations capably and with ease. Stresses arise, as they do in everyone's life, but I deal with them now and I move on. The big difference is they never escalate into panic symptoms. How different life becomes when you no longer are tripping over yourself. It's learning how to move out of your own way. Life will be different for you too, as different as night and day, and I want to help you open the door to freedom. I also know if you follow this path I've taken, you too will achieve the same results. You too will be able to go and do all the things which brought you discomfort in the past, but this time without the fear and interference of anxiety reactions. Don't for 1 minute believe I don't understand how difficult your anxiety may be, because believe me, I've experienced it all. I've lived it. I know how frustrating life becomes when you're constantly pushed back due to fears and symptoms. I was pushed back as far as one could go, and I know how miserable these symptoms do feel. The pounding heart, dizziness, blurred vision, faintness, loss of balance, shaking, the urge to run home, skipped heartbeats, just to name a few. And all the others, I know them all, and I know them well. But as I've mentioned, each symptom has a logical explanation and is reversible. Never doubt that for a moment. I even suffered from agoraphobia, the incapacitating fear of leaving one's home comfortably. Yes, I know how you feel, and I know it firsthand. Once you learn how to use our coping methods, these symptoms will become what they became for me, a distant memory. I'm truly excited to share these methods with you. I find it thrilling to know they are completely natural methods to eliminate anxiety symptoms permanently. Yes, you too will be amazed at the progress you will achieve once you start using these techniques. I've not only studied, researched, read, and tested all these methods, I live them every single day and continue to do so. They've become a part of me and completely internalized, as they will for you. Life without interfering anxiety symptoms is attainable for anyone and everyone. In the beginning, I was embarrassed to admit or speak about this condition. I had little understanding of it and was thrown by the symptoms. I never knew when they would strike. Every thought began with 2 words: what if? What if I felt anxious? What if I had a panic attack? What if these symptoms never stopped? What if, what if, what if? I actually tried with little success to hide the fact I had this condition from family and friends. It was hard to explain what was going on, especially since I had little understanding of it myself. I even lost friends who at first thought I didn't want to be with them. I was actually more comfortable having them believe this than telling them I had panic attacks and anxiety. I would cringe whenever I received an invitation in the mail. It was a strain to invent excuses, but I had become a master of avoidance. I was cursing the darkness, but afraid to light a candle. There were so many times I felt less than human, unworthy, and hopeless as a wife and mother. My self-esteem was bashed, and life had become difficult beyond words. I felt completely out of control, not knowing what might happen next. I was very fortunate to have a family who truly loved me and picked up the slack, although having my husband and parents shop for me did very little for my self-esteem. It fostered my own feelings of self-hatred. I wondered if I had an undetected disease or if this was truly a mental illness. Sometimes I wondered if I was being punished for something. But what? Eventually, I found that this problem of mine had a name, a label. This might have made some feel better, but it frightened me. It made it real. I had to finally admit it wasn't a fluke, a bad day, week, or year. It was real. I suppose I always hoped it would leave on its own, magically, just as it appeared. I hoped somehow I would awaken one day and it would be gone. Never once did I believe I was causing these sensations. Never once did I believe I could be fueling these reactions. Never once did I believe I was responsible for the continuation of these symptoms. In retrospect, I see how I was approaching this condition entirely backwards. But who knew? Instead of waiting for a miracle, with the right tools, I could have taken immediate control. But better late than never. And this is why I experience such pleasure in sharing these methods with you. Many of the physicians I visited handed me prescriptions and sent me on my way. I felt sheer frustration because, as I later confirmed, most individuals with anxiety are uncomfortable with medications and prefer the natural approach. The idea of adverse reactions and anxiety-producing side effects just never sat well with me. The majority of medications offered to me left me feeling sedated and zoned out or shaky and wired. I wanted to feel calm and relaxed without the drowsy hangover. I also wanted to feel energized without feeling shaky or nervous. Half the time I'd have the prescriptions filled and they'd remain in my night table drawer. Many I did try left me feeling so miserable I would have preferred the initial anxiety over these reactions. Frustration led me directly to a natural permanent cure, proving something positive will often surface out of a negative reaction. This was one of the greatest gifts of my life. Yes, frustration and hitting rock bottom with anxiety symptoms turned out to be the stimulus, the incentive, and the stepping stone to a life free of terror, fear, and obstructive anxiety reactions. I was tired. I was exhausted with the fight. I knew there had to be a natural way to win this game, and it did feel like a game to me. I had to use everything I had to locate myself again. I was determined to take it slow, but to find my way back on my own and rebuild myself completely. I was not a shy, retired person. I had my own inner strength, and you do too. I merely had to excavate that part of myself, the part that was deep down below the panic. A small inner voice of mine was still there, waiting to come forward. That adult which resides in all of us. It needed to be reawakened and brought to the forefront. The greatest motivation was the fact that I didn't like being at rock bottom. This was a positive, nowhere to go but up. This journey was so important to me. I knew that I owed it to myself. I was worth it. And what else did I have if my life didn't work? This became my top priority in life. This was when my journey truly began. My mission in life to locate and bring forth the adult I lost to anxiety, the recreation of my stronger self. I spent morning, noon, and night reading, researching, listening, consulting, and studying everything I could lay my hands on concerning this condition. I experimented with theories, some of my own making, some mixed with information I had read but improved upon. I forced myself into situations I feared, and I met panic with more than just hope this time. I was armed. I started a natural health regimen, which I follow to this day. A healthy mind and body go hand in hand. The healthier I felt physically, the stronger I felt emotionally, and vice versa. I was in training. I was becoming emotionally fit. Good nutrition, proper meal planning, moderate exercise, communication skills, and most of all, taking responsibility for my life. I met every challenge with tools, techniques, and methods. It did take courage, but I was ready, and surprisingly enough, the pain wasn't there. Each day I'd place myself in another challenging situation and evaluate another idea combined with all the intuitive knowledge I gathered through the years. I'd test one method, and if it worked, fine. If not, I'd move on, or I'd try something else. I'd try something better. I combined common sense with a conglomeration of ideas, deleting what didn't work and keeping what did work, mixed with additional insights that felt right to me. I read books on diet, nutrition, exercise, health, psychology, and combined ways of living styles with self-help encouragement books. I read stories, articles, positive thinking formulas, biographies about people overcoming adversity, and related their formulas to my life and this condition. I read, I watched, I listened, and I took notes. Boy, did I take notes. I investigated everything I could. I put myself in all sorts of situations. I put myself in places I used to fear, seeing what worked, tossing what didn't. I devoted all my time to this, all my energy. I eventually developed such a strong interest in these natural methods that I chose to return to school and obtain my PhD in this exact area. Receiving my degree was one of the proudest days of my life. It was my life, after all, the only life I had. What better cause could one be dedicated to? And once I found myself, I was able to help others as well. But back then, I knew I had to give it my all. And like the pieces of a puzzle, one day it all fell into place. Everything finally fit and it worked. And it kept on working. And guess what? You know the saying, get a life? Well, I did get a life. Better than the life I had even before anxiety. Yes, sure, there were days when I felt I wasn't making progress and days I had to regroup and reevaluate a theory, build on it and mend it in certain ways. But the days when everything came together, when everything worked, made up for that. And then one day, one ordinary day, I noticed I was smiling. I was standing, of all places, in the supermarket when I happened to catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror over the frozen food section of all places. Everyone was shopping and bustling around me, and there I was, smiling back at my own reflection, because here I was in the middle of a place that used to frighten me terribly, a place where anxiety caused me great discomfort, and now I was having a great time. I later learned, of course, that the actual place never causes anxiety reactions, only our interpretation of the event, place, or situation. What a shift in my life to be smiling, to be enjoying myself shopping. And I smiled when I went to the mall and purchased clothes for myself and drove comfortably home. And I smiled when I ordered my favorite foods in a new and interesting restaurant. And I even smiled and laughed when I won a few dollars at a casino. Yes, a casino. The huge, crowded, noisy building 60 miles from my house. And I loved it. I was having fun, and I sang as I drove down the highway, singing along with the radio as it played my favorite songs. And I smiled when I began my own business with the information I had gleaned from all my research and success. I had accomplished this myself without the crutch of medication, and I had won. I was back. I was strong, and I was living my life. Sure, I have my days. We all have our ups and downs. Stress occurs in everyone's life, and I'm no different, but I'm not afraid anymore. That's the big difference. I was able to shrink stress down to a normal, manageable size, to normal intensity. It became a fleeting moment, a minor thought, nothing out of proportion. I know the answers now, and I understand, and so will you. It's not a mystery anymore. It all makes sense. I also learned that I am not a great lover of huge crowds, giant shopping sprees, or driving in massive rush hour traffic. But who is? The difference is I know I'm able to handle these things if I so choose to do this. I'm able to do whatever is necessary. I know I have the choice now. No one is exempt from anxieties and stresses in their lives, and even the best of us have twinges now and then. But when you have the answers, it's short-lived and it dissipates quickly. Best of all, I can look in the mirror now and smile. Yes, in the end, I have discovered a surefire answer. I have skills which work every time. I have the answers. I live it, and so can you. I learned to depend on myself after I began living with the knowledge I discovered about this condition and curing it permanently. And this is the one goal I had in mind for you as the listener when I did these recordings. I want you to depend on you too. I want you to feel the joy and thrill that I know since I learned how to eradicate this condition and rely on myself. These tapes are dedicated to you because I feel unrelenting respect for you in the deepest sense. I know how brave you are, how courageous you are to forge through every day with this condition. It sometimes seems like such an uphill climb, and you keep on going. I now want to offer you the tools to make that climb a lot easier and maybe even level out that mountain to flattened ground. It's not as hard as it seems. It's so doable, so simple to accomplish with the right skills. For years, I too approached this the wrong way, but now I know the answers, and that's why I want to give something back. I want to share them with you. I want you to walk through that door and back into life again. It's surprisingly easy, and all you need is the courage to trust me and the skills I speak about. The rest will all follow suit. You too, by making a commitment to yourself, a pledge to yourself, to make choices to make your life a better one, can achieve this too. You can find the path past anxiety and into a better life as well. Yes, it does take some courage, but the pain is not there. Some things will be a little more challenging than others, but well worth the effort. Most who have used these techniques find them enjoyable and comfortable to use. The progress achieved is swift and rewarding. You'll find yourself wanting to participate in new adventures once you begin to realize your capabilities and power. I want you to look in that mirror and smile back too. This is my hope beyond hope for you. What a feeling to open the door of your life, enter into sunlight again, and begin living. This program consists of all my findings, my research, my tried and true theories, and my personal discoveries, which propelled me past anxiety and into life again. That's why I call it Anxiety Busters. I busted through the barrier of fear and came out on the other side. There are natural ways to crack through fears, and it's my pleasure to pass them on to you. This program will teach you how to surface on the other side of panic attacks and leave your fears behind. You'll learn to erase the pain of anxiety out of your life permanently, and you'll know it was you who did this without dependence on medications. Everything you need is within. It will allow you to understand anxiety completely, the biology behind it, and the logic. It will demonstrate how to end the panic cycle naturally and let go of the fear forever. You'll learn how to excavate your sense of self to command your life and take charge of all your decisions and situations. It will demonstrate that anxiety is not and never was a mental illness or a disease to recuperate from. Instead, you'll learn how to make corrections by thinking differently and living differently. Worry will no longer fill your mind as you learn to view your life from a positive angle. You'll operate from strength from now on. You'll learn to reevaluate your life and regroup so it works for you. You'll see the benefit of nutrition and how foods alter moods and how exercise can become the new relaxation. And most of all, you'll experience the joy of living a fulfilling life again, anxiety-free, through simple techniques which scatter your fears. We call our method the Psychodietetic Solution, the combination of psychology and nutrition. We are uniting nutritional science and behavioral modification. Through this twofold process, you'll learn how to naturally alleviate and eliminate all phases of the anxiety condition. All I'm asking of you is the commitment to listen to each tape, to play it as many times as necessary in order to extract the key elements and incorporate them in your life. I recommend listening to each tape for a week and follow up with a corresponding summary chapter of the workbook. Maintain an open mind and reflect upon the suggestions. You'll find the more you listen, the more you hear things you might have missed the first or second time. If later on you choose to review the material, you'll find yourself hearing things you may have missed the first time as well. This is because our lives change and we often become more aware of topics which connect to current issues. I believe in these tapes. I believe in the power they can offer you. After you disable a panic attack and learn methods to improve your life, you'll feel the power as well. Power like no other. Knowledge is power, and that is my wish to share with you. Remember, I suffered exactly as you might be suffering at this moment. You are not alone. This is not harmful or unusual. There is no ultimate to render you powerless. Anxiety is superficial and harmless, although it often feels terribly uncomfortable. You will learn to unwind from these patterns. No harm has been done, and there is a bright future. It's all about learning to move out of your own way. You've been tripping over yourself. The body is willing and able to find its balance now. Take a step back and allow this to happen. You too will disarm all anxiety symptoms. You have the power to dissolve all uncomfortable reactions. You might not be able to control outside situations, but you have the full power over your own reactions. The natural path is truly exciting. Yes, I'll say it again, knowledge is power. I've stepped through anxiety and on to the other side, as have so many others. Now it's your turn to take the first step along this journey. Put aside your worries and fears and take the first step forward. Have the willingness to trust, to apply these methods, and to move on with your life. It's the only life we have, and you truly do have the power to make it the best life possible. Have a wonderful week.